Well, good evening, everyone. We are welcome to today's Bible study. We are continuing with our study of the books of the minor prophets, and we have already covered Hosea, Habakkuk, Nahum, which other ones? Jonah, yes. So, yeah. And now we are studying Obadiah today. So, I'm really praying the Lord will bless us as we dig more and more into the Word of God, especially the Old Testament. Let us pray. Blessed Father, we just surrender ourselves to you. We ask, Lord, that you help us with today's study. Lord, as we look at just the one chapter that is in Obadiah, we ask, Lord, that you teach us yourself by your Spirit, and let your name be glorified like never before. Broaden our understanding of your word, increase our knowledge of you, Lord, and help us as we discuss together, that your name be glorified in Jesus' name. Amen. So, Obadiah has just one chapter. So hopefully we will finish the book very, very quickly. So okay. So I found this particular photo, and I couldn't actually resist taking it because it actually summarizes what the chapter is about. So Obadiah, the message of judgment on one hand, yet hope on the other hand. So depending on whether you are an Edomite or an Israelite, so that depends on which hand that you feel. Now, if you, in this particular study, God prophesied judgment to the Edomites, to the Edomites, however that you might want to actually pronounce it. Okay. And while God gives hope to the children of Israel. Okay. And hopefully, at the time we've gone through this particular study, we will understand why. Okay. So, can we read Obadiah?
5 verses each.
Okay, 5 verses each.
5 verses.
5 of each.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So if I read to 5.
Yeah.
Huh?
The vision of Obadiah. This is what the sovereign Lord says about Edom. We have heard a message from the Lord. An envoy was sent to the nations to say, rise and let us go against her for battle. See, I will make you small among nations. You will be utterly despised. The pride of your heart has deceived you. You will live in the cliffs of the rock. You make your home on the heights. You who say to yourself, who can bring me down to the ground? Through you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars. From there I will bring you down, declares the Lord.
If thieves came to you, if robbers in the night, or what a disaster awaits you, would they not steal only as much as they wanted? If grape pickers came to you, would they not leave a few grapes? The house Esau will be ransacked, his hidden treasures pillaged. All your allies will force you to the border. Your friends will deceive and overpower you. Those who eat your bread will set a trap for you, but you will not detect it. In that day, declares the Lord, will I not destroy the wise men of Edom, men of understanding in the mountains of Esau? Your warriors, 14, will be terrifying, and everyone in Esau's mountains will be put down in the slaughter. Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. You will be destroyed forever.
On the day you stood aloof, while strangers carried off his wealth, and foreigners entered his gates and cast lots for Jerusalem, you were like one of them. You should not gloat over your brother in that day of his misfortune, nor rejoice over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction, nor boast so much in the day of their troubles. You should not march through the gates of my people in the day of their disaster, nor gloat over them in their calamity. In the day of their disaster, the calamity, in the day of their disaster, nor see their wealth is in the day of the disaster. You should not wait at the crossroads to cut down their fugitives, nor hand over their survivors in the day of their trouble. The day of the Lord is near for all the nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head. Just as you drank on the old ale, so all the nations will continue. They will drink and drink, and will drink as if they have never been.
John,
Okay, John, from verse what?
17.
John, from verse 17, John.
But on Mount Zion there shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness. The house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. The house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. But the house of Esau shall be stubble. They shall kindle them and devour them, and no survivor shall remain of the house of Esau. For the Lord has spoken. The south shall possess the mountains of Esau, and the lowland shall possess Philistia. They shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria. Benjamin shall possess Gilead, and the captives of this host of children of Israel shall possess the land of the Canaanites as far as Zarephath. The captives of Jerusalem who are in Sepharad shall possess the cities of the south. Then saviors shall come to Mount Zion to judge the mountains of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's.
so Negev had another name. I've got, Negev, the desert.
Okay, yes.
He said another name.
Okay.
What did you say instead of Negev?
Will possess the towns of Negev.
John said a different name.
That's
Which
20.
which verse?
Verse 20.
20.
Verse 20.
Yeah, and 19 and 20.
Okay. And I think it says the south. The south shall possess the mountains of Esau, and the lowlands shall possess Philistia.
It's not right. There's no right.
And then it says they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria. Benjamin shall possess Gilead. Okay. Is that different in your version?
Well, there's quite a bit of difference in Negev. I don't know what you're saying instead of Negev. Will possess the town. It's in other words, number 20.
Yeah.
This company of Israelites exiles who are in Canaan will possess the land as far as Zarephath. Then it says, the exiles from Jerusalem who are in Shepherd will possess the towns of the Negev. So that's the desert, isn't it?
Yeah. And here it says south.
Well, how do you spell that then?
South. S-O-U-T-H. Yes, south. Yeah. So instead of the NIV sort of specified that particular community that is served. But the King James the New King James just says south.
Number 19 was confused me because on here it's the land of the Philippines.
Yeah, yes.
I found a lot of differences.
They will occupy the fields of Ephraim
Ephraim,
and Samaria.
Ephraim, yes. So,
Yeah, I've got one.
yeah, fine. So, by the time we get there, we will explain. We'll explain. So, honestly, I think that is the way it goes. Yeah, but I will try to actually make it less confusing, okay, as less and less as possible. So the introduction, let me just make it bigger. Yeah. Okay, can you see John introduction?
Yes.
Oh, good. So Obadiah is the shortest book in the Old Testament. Okay, shortest because it has only one chapter. The content of the one chapter book is stated in the first 4 words. The vision of Obadiah. Okay, so like Pat already asked about who was the author. Well, the author we suspect could be Obadiah himself. Okay, but it could have also been another person who heard him deliver these particular prophecies, and then he then gave the book the name Obadiah. Okay, so clearly it tells us that the book contains the vision, what Obadiah saw was going to happen to a nation called Edom or Edom, however that you may pronounce it. So this book, like the books of the Habakkuk and the Nahum that we studied before, Obadiah declares prophecies of God's judgment on one of Israel's major perennial, that is long-standing enemies. Now, if you have read the Old Testament, you will have seen that very, very often there was war between the children of Israel and the Edomites, just as they fought with the Philistines. Very frequently, there was always conflict between Israel, Philistines, Israel, Edom, Israel, and there's a third one, where actually Ruth is from. Ruth. No. Let me just check. So Ruth came from a popular tribe. Just went out of my mind.
Summer nights.
No.
It says unlike Babylon and Assyrians in the Near East.
Can I comment? Yes, let me just, Ruth.
Moabites.
In the Moabites, yes.
Right,
So always conflicts, and that was because they were neighbors. Sincerely speaking, Edom and also the Moabites, their own ancestors also came out of Abraham anyway. So and I think that the Moabites must have come through one of the children of Abraham, probably from the Ishmaelites, I'll check. Okay, but definitely, like we will see, the Edomites, they were children of Esau. Okay, Esau was the twin brother of Jacob. Okay, so that in a way they were supposed to be friends, knowing that they came from they came from in fact they came from the same mom, the same dad, Jacob and Esau. But yet, something happened that practically all through history, the two nations always fought, and hardly there was peace between the children of Israel and the children of Edom. So that today we now read yet another book that is God's pronounced prophecies, saying that one of the major enemies of the children of Israel will be destroyed and deleted, okay, from the face of the earth. And then if you ask why, that is what this chapter tells us. Why did God do that? Okay, so yes. So just as this says, unlike the Babylonians, the Assyrians that the other books talk about, okay, those ones they were actually strangers to the children of Israel. The enemy Obadiah's vision refers to was Edom. That's a nation that was a historical close relative of Israel, the descendants of Esau, the twin brother of Jacob, who was the direct ancestor of the children of Israel. Edom has a historical grudge, okay, and against Israel that have been passed down several generations, after Esau. Who still read about that original grudge between Jacob and Esau, and then their children just kept on fighting. Most likely because of that original grudge. They just didn't forget that your father did our father this, and so we will always be enemies. Something I hope we all learn.
It's like the mafia today, they carry that good job some generations.
Yeah. Generation after generations. So and that original grudge made the two nations intergenerational enemies, always at war. Why was God angry with the Edomites? What did they do to deserve such a devastating divine judgment that wiped them out of the world map since the first century AD, while Israel survives till this day?
So is that in here now?
Yeah, so
But they didn't believe in the people from Israel did.
okay, well,
You mean
yes.
that did they both worship God, the same God?
No.
I mean,
And the Edomites
well, they
worship idols.
Yeah.
Right. Worshipped the enemies, but the Jerusalem worshipped the Lord.
Jehovah, yes, of course. So the Edomites worshipped other gods. Okay, and that was because Esau, their own ancestor sort of married into the pagan tribes. Okay, and so his children's children just followed the gods of Esau's wives, and they didn't know the God of Israel. You know. And besides that, God chose Jacob. Okay, Esau, Isaac gave Esau's blessing to Jacob, and somehow God favored Jacob, and then Esau went into the pagan tribes, and somehow he lost out of God. But we will see that God didn't entirely forget about the children of Esau. We will see that God still made provisions for them. God still gave them some rights that God didn't give to other pagan tribes, just because of their relationship with Isaac, whom he raised through his friend Abraham.
So is Esau's tribe, the descendants, Esau never exists now? They've not-
That particular country does not exist anymore.
No, because the kids Esau, then. That's the don't want to call it after it.
Yeah, so
They call him Isaac, don't they?
yeah, so the entire tribe that came
Yeah.
out of Esau, the Edomites, they were completely wiped out. And it was that particular prophecy that Obadiah saw. And he wrote down that this is how Edom will be destroyed. So we will see why, what they did that actually angered God to the extent of God saying, because of what you have done, you will be completely destroyed. Okay. Okay, now let's see the first question of the discussion. Okay, now John, are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, thank you. So the first question says, what is the historical background of the feud between the Israelites and the Edomites? So we'll just go through, just for us to actually understand what exactly happened between these two countries, right from where it all began. Okay, right from where it all began, and that is Genesis chapter 25, 29 to 34.
So I'll read that one if you want.
Okay, let's go
Thanks.
on. Yes.
Once, when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said to Jacob, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." That is why it was also called Edom. Must have missed that. Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." "Look, I am about to die," Esau said. "What good is a birthright to me?" So Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore on oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank, and then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright.
Okay.
All over some stew.
So that was how it all started. Over a pot of
Lentil
stew
stew.
or to porridge, yes. So now Esau came back from the hunting because he was he was a hunter, okay, and they will go into the bush to look for animals. While Jacob was a homeboy, he stayed with his mom and learned how to cook, how to do quite a lot of things. The mom didn't have any daughters, so but he had Jacob, to actually help him with her cooking. So one time Esau came back from a hunting and he was hungry, terribly hungry. And he saw that Jacob had already prepared this beautiful porridge, that's a pot of stew, and said, please give me some. He said, no, unless you sell me your birthright. You are our father's first son. We were born the same day, only you came out first. So how about if we change the other things? Let me be first and I will be last. Then very foolishly, Esau said, of what use will the birthright be to me if I die because I am very hungry? Jacob said, okay, before I'll give you food, let us swear. Take an oath, a vow, okay, that when I give you this food, I will become the firstborn, and then you will be the junior twin. And Esau agreed, and then Jacob made him to vow and gave him the stew. And Esau probably thought that would be the last of it. He thought that would be the last of it. But no. Let us read actually the next one.
I've got that one.
That is chapter 27. Genesis 27, 30 to 41. No one, you will soon know. Okay, go on, yes.
After Isaac finished blessing him, and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. And he said to him, my father, please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing. His father Isaac asked him, who are you? I am your son, he answered, your firstborn Esau. Isaac trembled violently and said, who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed. When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, bless me too, my father. He said, your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. Esau said, isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taking my blessing. And he asked, haven't you reserved any blessing for me? Isaac answered Esau, and made him lord over you, and made all his relatives his servants. And we have sustained him with grain and new wine, so that what can I possibly do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, you have only one blessing, my father. Bless me too, my father. And Esau wept aloud. His father Isaac answered him, your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the jewels heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. And when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck.
So, yes.
41 now.
Yeah, 41.
Esau had a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, these days of mourning from my father are near, and I will kill my brother Jacob.
Yeah.
That's the right family spot, is that? Isn't it?
So, honestly, Esau must have thought that the vow that he took many years ago must have been as a childish thing. Because when he came to the time his father was almost dying, and he asked him as the firstborn, they probably didn't tell the dad that look, they have exchanged places. So Isaac called Esau, go and hunt for a wonderful animal and come, prepare me something to eat so that I may bless you before I die. And but again, their mom, Jacob, was her pet. So if you read the whole story, okay, you will find that the person who caused this second trouble wasn't Jacob. It was their mom. Their mom had her husband telling Esau to go hunt, prepare me meat, come prepare me some good bush meat stew, okay, and so that I may eat and I can bless you happily as my first son. Then the mom told Jacob, huh?
Would that be Sarah?
No, that is Rebecca.
Oh, the other one. Oh, yeah.
So the Rebeccas. And Rebecca now called her pet son. Come, I heard this. Your father is going to bless Esau and give him everything that he owns. Now, let me tell you what you will do. So the mother taught Jacob how to prepare the kind of food and the kind of everything just the way her husband loved it. And then put, because Esau was actually very hairy, all his hands, his chest, everywhere, he was full of hair, while actually the brother wasn't hairy, he was smooth. Therefore, the father, even though as at this time he was now almost blind, and he couldn't tell who is who. So then Jacob tricked the dad. He put animal skin on his hands and on his chest, because he suspected that the father might want to actually feel him. And actually, Isaac did that because he wanted to be sure. He knew his sons. So Jacob cooked the soup with the help of the mom and served the dad before Esau returned from his hunting. And by that time, he went and met Isaac. And then Isaac blessed the wrong person as his first son. Somehow you will say, yes, Jacob only took what had already been sold to him by Esau very, very years ago. So by the time Esau now came from his hunting and he has prepared the soup the way that he knew how to prepare, and he brought it to Dad. And he said, Dad, I am Esau, your first son. But we thought he already sold that birthright to Jacob. So why was he still claiming that I am Esau, your first son? And that was how I come to now understand, he must have thought that the vow he took, the exchange they took when they were younger, that must have been child's play.
So it was a misunderstanding between them.
Yeah, I think that it's always a common thread. It's always a woman behind all these
Troubles.
Yeah.
So, therefore, the two of them, so Isaac blessed Jacob as his first son, gave him all his rights, his powers, the servants, the fields, the land, everything. And then when Esau said, Father, please, you must have another blessing for me. Bless me too. But the blessing Isaac gave Esau was that you will serve your brother. Your brother will be your master until you find a way to break his yoke from off your neck. So, and Esau didn't like that blessing because that wasn't the blessing. No, that wasn't the blessing. So it was more, it was not, yes, just as you said, it was actually more like a curse. So Esau said, I will wait. My father's burial will soon be done. After we have mourned him, I'll get mine back. I will kill Jacob. And then all those land and servants and all that my father gave him through that blessing, we all come back to be mine. So and that is the origin. He said the second time Jacob has actually supplanted me. That means he has deceived me. He has cheated me. Okay. Now let's see yet another one. Chapter 36. Okay. Will you read that? Yeah. 36.
6 to 9, guys.
Yes. 6
to 9.
36. Yes. Verse 6 to 9.
He soon took his wives and sons and daughters and all the members of his household, as well as his livestock and all other animals and all the goods he had acquired. He came and moved to a land some distance from his brother Jacob.
Yeah.
Their possessions were too great for them to remain together. The land where they were staying could not support them both because of their livestock. So Esau, that is Edom, settled in the hill country of Seir.
Yes, yeah. Yes, yeah. So, yes, and verse 9, yes, Esau is Edom.
This is the account of Esau, the father of the
Edomites
Edomites in the hill
of Seir.
country of Seir.
So after the two of them settled, after Jacob came back home after with his 2 wives, 2 concubines, and now settled in the same place with Esau. Esau, after a while, he happily forgave Jacob and he allowed him to settle back home. And he didn't kill him. Jacob thought Esau was going to kill him. And he gave Esau very many gifts, all to say sorry. Okay. So, but after a while, they couldn't stay in one place because they had too much property. So Esau left the plain and went to now settle on a hill, on a particular mountain called Mount Seir. Okay, so this chapter also talked about that particular mountain, that's Obadiah. So talked about it showed that they lived high on a very mountain that also most likely gave actually Esau some advantage over their enemies. So, and that was the lands that actually Esau chose and he settled them. Okay, so honestly, all the other passages, the Numbers, Deuteronomy, Judges, talked about whether we should still read them, I don't know, but it actually would have been good for us to actually read them. If this is the only one we can actually cover today, we can continue from the other days. Let us read Numbers 20, 14 to 21.
You got it, John.
John,
Numbers.
yeah,
20.
Numbers 20.
Do you want me to read it? Are you finding it?
Numbers 20,
14.
Numbers 20, 14.
yeah, 14 to 21.
Right, it's passage through Edom. Now Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. So says your brother Israel, you know all the hardship that has befallen us, how our fathers went down to Egypt, and we dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians afflicted us and our fathers. When we cried out to the Lord, he heard our voice and sent the angel and brought us up out of Egypt. Now here we are in Kadesh, a city on the edge of your border. Please let us pass through your country. We will not pass through fields or vineyards, nor will we drink water from wells. We will go along the king's highway. We will not turn aside to the right hand or to the left until we have passed through your territory. Then Edom said to him, you shall not pass through my land, lest I come out against you with the sword. So the children of Israel said to him, we will go by the highway, and if I or my livestock drink any of your water, then I will pay for it. Let me only pass through on foot, nothing more. Then he said, you shall not pass through. So Edom came out against them with many men and with a strong hand. So Edom refused to give Israel passage through his territory. So Israel turned away from him.
So you see, now a long while, very many generations after Esau, God took the children of Israel out of Egypt. And they were crossing through the land of Edom to the land where God wanted them to go. But they needed to pass through the land of the Edomites. So, and at this time, this was the time of Moses. Moses then sent a message to the king. Let us pass through. We won't eat your food. We won't drink your water. We just need to sort of pass through to go to the other side where God wanted them to go and settle. But now Moses even said, no, we are your brothers. Let us just pass through. We won't eat from you. We won't drink from you, just for us to pass. And the Edomites said no. He said no. He said, we will not let you pass. If you pass, we will attack you. No, and historically, they are brothers. The Israelites, the Edomites. So somehow they had a grudge against the Israelites. They were probably happy when they were slaves in Egypt. But now God has now brought them out and they were back to the same Canaan where their forefathers settled. And yet Edom wouldn't let them pass through their land to the other side. So, and Moses pleaded with them, but they said, no, if you pass, we will attack you. And to make sure that they didn't pass, The Edomites brought out their soldiers, to prevent Israel from they wouldn't let them enter their own territory. Okay, that was how strong the animosity was between these two nations. So yes, when Jacob did some things wrong, but that was many generations ago. Enough time for them to have said, whatever happened between our fathers, Esau forgave Jacob, therefore we will also forgive you. But no, it still carried on. It still carried on. Now let us read more about this in Deuteronomy chapter 2, verses 1 to 6, and then chapter 23, verses 7 and 8.
So this is wandering in the desert, chapter 2. Then we turned back and set out towards the desert along the route to the Red Sea, as the Lord had directed me. For a long time we made our way around the hill country of Seir. Then the Lord said to me, you have made your way around this hill country long enough. Now turn north. Give the people these orders. You are about to pass through the territory of your brothers, the descendants of Esau, who lives in Seir. They will be afraid of you, but be very careful. Do not provoke them to war, for I will not give you any of their land, not even enough to put your foot on. I have given Esau the hill country of Seir as his own. You are to pay them in silver for the food you eat and the water you drink. But they did offer it though, didn't they? I thought they offered food, money anyway.
Yeah, well, so that over here, God told them not to fight the Edomites. And God just told them that look, where the Edomites are, do not fight them. This was the time when they were fighting was with all the tribes living in Canaan. And then they will fight, they will win the war, they will occupy the land. So God told them, leave the Edomites alone. Do not take their lands, because I will not give you their land. So that this was the part where I was saying that God still made provision for the children of Esau. God said he has given them Mount Seir. That is where they are, and that is where they will be. If you pass through their land, if you eat their food, you have to pay them. Okay, you must not take anything from them by violence. So that, and this was God telling the children of Israel how they are to relate with the children of Esau. Okay, so God gave the children of Israel power to defeat Jericho, defeat this other tribe, that tribe, but not Edom. God said, leave them alone. Do not enter their territory. Okay, if you take anything from them, you've got to pay. Okay, and treat them well. Because if you pass through their land, they are afraid of you, they will attack you. And I will not let you win over their land because I have given them that land. Okay. So that somehow, even though they were not serving Jehovah God, God didn't forget that these are the children of Esau, who was the child of Isaac, the child of his best friend Abraham. So God still looked after them, even though as at this time they were pagans. God did not destroy them. Okay. Let's also read chapter 23, verses 7 and 8.
Do not despise an Edomite, for the Edomites are related to you. Do not despise an Egyptian because they will reside with foreigners in their country.
Mm.
The third generation of children born to them, they enter the assembly of the Lord.
Yeah, so that was when actually Moses, or at this particular, yes, Moses, yes. So yes, at this particular time, Moses was actually giving them laws as to who can come into the tabernacle, who can come into the presence of God. So any pagan tribe should not enter into the holy tabernacle. But here we see God giving the Edomites, that look, the Edomites up to the third generation, they could come into the holy place of God. Okay? Again, this is God making provision for them, recognizing the relationship they have with the children of Israel. Okay? So, Judges chapter 11, verse 17.
That's a nice short.
This is the only ones. Oh, you're doing that. And the
No,
trouble is,
I got lost.
it's in the book,
Oh,
it's only one verse.
Just one, Judges
Yeah.
11.
From Mount Hela,
Yes.
which rises towards Seir, to
Okay.
Baal Gad, in the valley of Lebanon, below Mount Hermon, he captured all their kings and struck them down, putting them to death.
Okay, who was that?
17.
Okay, was that Joshua?
Judges
Judges
11.
Judges
Oh,
11,
sorry, I've
17.
got, oh, sorry, I've got it there.
I've got it.
You've got it. Sorry.
Then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, give us permission to go through your country.
Yeah.
The king of Edom would not listen. They sent also to the king of Moab, and he refused. So Israel stayed at Kadesh.
Mhm. So all that is still telling the story of how the children of the Edomites didn't let them pass through their land. Even though they were brothers, like actually very, very often we have brothers who wouldn't speak to us.
I know that one.
Yeah, no, so who wouldn't speak to us? One generation, 2, 3, 4, and they still wouldn't want anything to actually do with you. No, they will not visit you, and then they wouldn't let you visit them either. No, and that was the situation of these two countries. Okay, let us read now the last one. 1 Samuel 14:47. John, can you pick this up? 1 Samuel chapter 14, verse 47.
Chapter 14, 47. Right. 40, verse 47. So Saul established his sovereignty over Israel and fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, against the people of Ammon, against Edom, against the kings of Zobah, and against the Philistines. Wherever he turned, he harassed them.
So that even though God historically told the children of Israel not to attack the Edomites, now Saul attacked them. Saul attacked the Edomites, the Moabites, and all the other countries in the land, and he conquered all of them. So I just put this here for us to just see that look, there was conflict between the two. Esau, the first king of Israel, after he became king and was now establishing his authority, one of the places that he fought and I think he also conquered them, was the land of the Edomites.
In King James, it says, wherever he turned, he inflicted punishment on them.
Punishment, yes. So that King Saul was,
It's stronger than Harris.
yes. So King Saul was actually very powerful. Particularly after he took up David. David was actually the one going to fight these different wars for King Saul. And so he fought against the Edomites and he was harassing them again and again and again. And then when he also fought against the Philistines as well, fought against the people of the Moab. But I just brought this up just for you to see that right from the king.
Yeah.
They were fighting themselves. And they were supposed to be brothers. You just imagine if there was peace between Israel and Edom. You just imagine what with a familiar harmony that would have existed between the two nations. So by the time we go on in this particular study, we will read what the Edomite did that God didn't like. That God said you have not done well.
It says there, not number 2, what will be the instruments of God in that Edom's judgment?
Yeah.
But it's blocked out. Obadiah 1.
No, it's
Is
here.
it just 1? Oh, 1, 4 to 7.
Yes, 1 to 4. Yes, but because of time,
Yeah.
we will read that. The time has passed very, very quickly.
It does, yeah.
So, well, we will continue this study. So, sincerely, for those of us who have issues with our family members, this is actually one good book. For us to
So
study.
my youngest brother, when my eldest brother died, we were lifting the family now and on the split and taken side, and I'm on the side.
Yeah.
He never, I put feelers out for him. I don't even know where he is just at the time.
Yeah.
But he will not, he never came to the funeral.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
So you see,
yeah.
so that this can happen.
But he's always been there.
And in my own family too, it is also the same thing. In my own dad, my dad had only 2 wives, had very many children. The wives hardly agreed on anything. So big hostilities between the wives were passed on into the children.
So don't you have friends with your half brothers and sisters?
Well, I am actually the first son, so I see it as my responsibility to bring everybody together, so that I am doing my very best to play that role.
Is your mom and dad alive?
My dad is gone,
Mom's alive.
and my mom is alive.
Yes, I've seen them.
Yes. So that this book, in the very end, you will see that at the very end, when we come here, we shall be discussing. Now, what exactly do we learn? What does this book tell us about the hostilities within families? And I really pray that by the time we reach that, we will each go back home and say, okay, how can I settle with my brother, with my sister, with my children who are no longer speaking to me?
Well, we have 6. I'm the 6th, well, 3's died now. But I was the 6 sisters, but nobody ever fell out. Only as kids used to fall out as kids.
Yeah.
But once they grew up and left
They
over,
were friends.
so we'll never any falling out.
Yeah, very good.
Never been any falling
And
out.
your family,
Anybody, but
your
no
family is
brothers.
good.
So we just,
Yes. Good.
that was good, it was good.
Okay, so So do we have any questions from this study?
No, the moment is after we say prayer, I'd like to pray for my cousin Claire Strong.
Okay. So what's your name?
Claire Strong.
Claire Strong.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's had a bit of bad news.
John has gone probably to the north. Okay, let us pray. So Claire has asked us to pray for her sister, cousin Claire Strong. So Father Lord, we just commit her, Lord, into your hands. We just, Father, the bad news she has heard that has brought maybe quite a lot of sorrow into her heart and her household. Father, we ask, Lord, that you visit her, visit them right where they are. Lord, that you comfort them, Lord, and give them peace at this time. Father, we use this opportunity to, Lord, pray for families, Lord, that have historical hostilities. Father, particularly where Christians are involved. And 2 sides, 3 sides, and yet none talking to the other. Oh God Almighty, this book tells us that there are repercussions to these type of intra-family hostilities that are not resolved properly. Father Lord, we ask, Lord, that whatever lessons we will learn from this book, we will apply directly, Lord, to the situations in which we will see, Lord, that who will counsel those who are in these situations to learn from the experience of Jacob and Esau and their descendants. Father, we also pray for John. We ask, Lord, that you make him strong. Father, that you make him well enough for him to be able to join us here next week. Father, we pray for Judith. We pray also for Ellen, who could not join us today. We ask, Lord, that you bless them right where they are. Lord God, we also remember of Syria as well. Oh God Almighty, we pray, oh God, that Lord, you will bless her also right where she is. May your name be praised and glorified at this time. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
John's coming back now.
Yes. Okay, John. So see you next week. Okay. God bless you, brother.
And I'll see you tomorrow, John.
Right.